So for a while now, I've been thinking about whether or not ConvertKit's headed in the right direction. It's hard. Every time there's a huge decision to make, I go back and forth between, yes, absolutely, this is the right direction. But then there's these 2 a.m. thoughts of, I don't know, hold on. What about this other thing? What about that? Honestly, there's a lot of things I'm nervous about. How will the community react? How will the team react? We're a $40 million a year company, and we've been on this trajectory for 10 years now. Can we actually rebrand?
The idea of rebranding ConvertKit has been talked about even before I joined the company. It was a part of my interview with Nathan. He was saying, I want to change the name. I don't think it's the right fit long-term for us as a business.
ConvertKit as a name is all about the technical thing that we help you do. And the brand that we'd started to build was really about connection to creators, helping them earn a living, telling their stories. In fact, we'd added all of these ways to accelerate that, right? Now we're paying creators directly through sponsorships, through paid recommendations.
I had been seeing changes that I felt like a rebrand was needed because over the last few years, we've seen more tools, kind of like a box of things that you can use to grow your business, to connect with other creators. There's way more in there than just email marketing.
And so what we realized is that we needed to refresh the messaging and positioning that we use because so much had changed. But I know there's people who have been around ConvertKit for 6, 7, 8 years who are like, hey, you did this already. Remember how you tried to rebrand the company and it failed?
Back then, we picked a name that wasn't the right name, and we ended up rolling it back. We need to do a better job with this.
And so we felt like a major rebrand is something you actually only get one shot at, especially as the company grew and we further cemented our position and our brand reputation. We thought we wouldn't get another shot at rebranding the company. Except for one name. There's one name that we could actually do that would meet many of our goals. A single word, not too technical, would never be misspelled, has a super elegant .com, all of these things that we wanted, and wouldn't be a huge jump from ConvertKit. But we knew that domain would be wildly expensive. So the main idea in my head is ConvertKit is the name for the next 10 or 20 years. There's no more chance to rebrand it. But Brendan, who's our director of engineering, one day in a team meeting, he just said, hey, did you all know that domain is for sale? And I asked him, Brendan, how did you find this? And he's like, oh, I've been checking every single month for the last 3 years. And I was like, okay, there's a level of dedication to upgrading our name and our brand that I didn't even have. We help creators do so much more than convert. We help them connect and grow and launch and send and create and automate and earn. And so I'm really excited to announce that we are rebranding the company from ConvertKit to Kit.
It's really interesting when we look back on some of Nathan's blog posts from the founding of the company, because he wrote about picking the name and the definition of Kit being a set of tools for a specific purpose. That was part of the reason that he chose the name ConvertKit for our company to begin with. And so being able to simplify that, because we do help creators do so much more than just convert, gives us an opportunity to really lean in on that idea of a set of tools for a specific purpose.
Brands need to change because the world changes. Brands are based on the perception that others have of you in the context that you're in. And so if you try to bring the exact same brand for years and years and years with no changes, you end up losing touch and relevance, because something that worked really well in one context is not going to work as well in the different context a decade later. Brand changes aren't just what a big company does. The number of creators that embark on serving one audience under one identity, and then over time that changes, is pretty significant. You evolve the content, you evolve the audience that you serve, and your goals evolve.
Before my business was called Creator Science, I had a bunch of different named platforms. I had a newsletter, Creative Companion, I had a podcast, Creative Elements, and that started to cause problems. So I remember being really frustrated with seeing people ask for recommendations of best newsletters for creators, best podcasts for creators, and I wasn't being mentioned. They just don't seem to associate me with this term of creator. So I started thinking about rebranding as a way to associate myself and my work with this specific word of creators.
So before, my brand was Start, Shoot, Grow, and now it's called Brave on Video. I felt like before it was a bit complicated. It was basically the framework that I taught, helping others to get confident on camera, how to start, how to shoot, and how to grow. I loved it, but I loved it. I feel like if someone got onto my page or onto the website, it didn't say exactly like what we're about. You would have to peruse to figure out the messaging and the marketing.
We knew we had to have a serious conversation about if this was an opportunity we wanted to take on.
It was really important to pause and go, I know this is exciting, but is it the right thing to do? How does that help creators earn a living, which is our mission? It needed to be something that would be meaningful for creators and meaningful for expanding and spreading our mission. And so Charlie went out and did a series of interviews with a bunch of our top creators and our partners.
Okay, so before we commit to making this huge decision to rename our company, I really want to make sure we get a better understanding of how creators might react to it. I want to learn what their impression is of the word kit, any like preconceived notions we should be aware of. I've prepared a Figma file to go through with creators on a call. And what I'm going to do first off is just have kit on the screen. I'm going to ask for their impressions of the word. I'm going to then have them imagine that kit is a tool for newsletters, email marketing, audience management, and monetization, and have them rate where they think kit would fall based on the name alone. And this is to get an understanding of how much just the name and its connotations, its meaning will impact these aspects of a brand. I figured I might also use this call as a chance to do some general brand research as well. So I'm going to ask them what's important to them when they're choosing a tool to trust as part of their business tech stack. And these are just a few brand personality sliders. So we're going to see what creators value. And then I'm going to ask them for those same sliders to rank where they see ConvertKit fitting right now. We'll then take a look at the landscape that we exist in, and I'm going to have them place us as well as a few competitors in this matrix here. And then finally, I'll hit them with a big question of how would they feel if we renamed ConvertKit to Kit, and we'll see what they say. I genuinely have no clue how this is going to go, and I hope that we'll learn a lot. It's definitely worth the time to do this research, though, and to be aware of some of the preconceived notions that there might be around Kit so that we know to be aware of them when we're developing our new brand. There was creators who were super excited about it, creators who were more like, I don't know, it's just the name of your business, it doesn't really impact me much. And there were creators who had concerns as well.
I was nervous because rebrands are so hard. It's so hard to do this well. I've realized it's so much work at my scale. For a company at the scale of ConvertKit with as many customers, as many advocates, as much brand equity as you've built, it feels like such an undertaking. And because I know people are prone to dislike change initially, even if they come to appreciate it later, I was inspired by the courage to do it and cautiously optimistic because I like the new name, but also afraid for the shitstorm that would potentially unfold.
One concern that came up was pricing. Creators hear this cool 3-letter domain, cool 3-letter company, and they think, ooh, that sounds like it's going to be expensive for me.
In this whole world where, inflation is the highest it's been in a long time, and actually throughout the market, like pretty much every one of our competitors and our peers are saying like, oh, because of inflation, like we have to raise prices. I think it'd be natural to say like, okay, as part of this rebrand, it's time to raise prices. It's been overdue. And what we actually realize is we're gonna do the opposite. We're figuring out how can we lower our prices? How can we make a free plan that's way more valuable? So we're going from 1,000 subscribers for free on our free plan to 10,000 subscribers for free. We're going from the free plan not including automations to bundling in those basic automations with the free plan. A lot of times when companies rebrand, it also comes with a big shift in strategy or positioning or culture or something else. with ConvertKit moving to Kit, people might be thinking, are you going to move to an entirely different market than creators? Nope. Creators is in our DNA. This is who we built the company to serve. Our mission is we exist to help creators earn a living, and that's never going to change.
When the conversation picked up about this rebrand that we're currently going about, someone raised this idea of embracing our value of working in public. What if we ran our rebrand process in public and let people in on it along the way? And the first reaction was, of course, like, no, you can't do that. There's a point at which you can't be public. And then the second thought is like, okay, but what if we did though? We decided that making a series that follows us along this journey will be useful for folks to see what challenges we encounter along the way as it's happening. Like right now, I don't know what's ahead of us. We haven't even picked the agency that we're working with yet. I don't know what challenges we're going to encounter. And so that feels extra scary to like commit to doing this publicly. But I think that's the beauty of this. And I think that's where the value is going to come from. My biggest fear is that we launch it and it doesn't resonate with creators. I think that's probably the worst thing that could happen for us.
People don't like change. You make a decision about what the brand name will be, what the brand will look like. Sometimes people don't like it, especially if your brand has existed for a while and people build a connection to that. When I started rebranding from Creative Companion to Creator Science, the first people I shared that with were the folks that are in my membership community. They did not like it. Half of the people had strong negative feelings about the name.
Biggest fears was losing people. There was that feeling of, are they going to fall away or be bored with the content that I'm sharing now?
It would have been very easy for me to look at that and say, this is a bad idea, I'm not going to do it. But fast forward to today, I listened to my own gut and I went with it, and it's made a night and day positive difference in the business.
We could have kept going as ConvertKit, right? That would have been the safe choice. But we haven't gotten to where we are today by making the safe choice.
It became really clear that this is the obvious choice. This is what we should do. And the best thing that we can do is to set up our team and the company and the community to serve creators for a decade or more to come.
It's a bet we're placing on ourselves and on our future, thinking ahead to the brand, not that we are today, but what we can become.
Play the long game. That's what is so important for creators. The most successful creators that you follow, the ones that have the overnight successes or have grown to this crazy scale, they've all been showing up and doing it consistently for many, many years. The overnight success, 10 years in the making. That story is very, very common. And so it's important for us to live out the advice that we give to creators. Pick a direction, pick a journey, and pick a vision that you can invest in for a decade or more, because that's what it's going to take.
So I guess we're going to do this. We're going to document the process of rebranding ConvertKit. We're going to bring you along on the journey of defining our new brand strategy, crafting our new visual and verbal identity, and launching it all to the world and officially becoming Kit. What you can expect to see from us over the coming months is a lot of behind the scenes. We're going to be sharing our process. We're going to be sharing the decisions that we make along the way, sharing what really goes into a rebrand. You're also going to be hearing from creators speaking about their own rebrands and their processes and the decisions they made in rebranding their businesses. It's our hope that you can learn a lot from this series when it comes to thinking about your own brand as a creator. There's a lot of work ahead of us, but I'm excited for it. And as a creator myself, I'm also excited to get to share it.
When Charlie told me that ConvertKit was planning to do this rebrand in public, my anxiety got even higher because that sounds like such a terrifying thing.
I love it. Charlie asked me what would I want from a rebrand? And I said, I would love to see you guys do the dirty work in public and bring the audience along in some capacity.
You will get so much feedback from a whole spectrum of people who want the best for you, people who don't care about the company at all, people who actively don't like the company. And a lot of that feedback will inherently be negative. It's a tricky thing to navigate. There's a reason companies don't take it on. But I think it's so smart and so interesting for ConvertKit to do this because it's such a core part of the culture and ethos of the company, from sharing metrics publicly to building in public.
It's powerful for people to see a big company do something like that. It gives me permission as a smaller creator, oh wow, I can do that too.
It's a very interesting idea, and so I've got my popcorn ready. I'm excited to see what happens.
If this story of how we're rebranding the company in public is something that's interesting to you, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be putting out episodes on a regular basis, walking you through behind the scenes of what we're doing, and definitely click and turn on notifications because you're not going to miss what's coming next.